Hi, boys and girls. If you haven't yet, please find page 340 in your Volume 2 Go Math book. And last week, remember how you counted by tens by starting from different numbers? And we had the 100 grid over here to help us. Well, as you learned in your lesson with Miss Joanne, as you go down the 100 grid, you count by tens. Look, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Next would be 120. And if you continue this with any of these going down, you can see that you're adding a 10 each time. See how the number in the tens place gets bigger each time? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, while the number in the ones place stays the same. That's because we're adding a 10. So I kind of like these puzzles, so I wanted to make sure we had a chance to do them. Go deeper. Use what you know about a counting chart to write the missing numbers. So they're talking about one of these, a counting chart, which I call a 100 grid. So if we do this first one, we'll kind of actually look at the grid for this one, okay? So it's like somebody took some scissors and they cut out a piece of the 100 grid. They just started going chop, 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 and they just cut part of it out, and we need to figure out what numbers go in the blanks here. So what number comes after 6? Well, if you look at the 100 grid, you know we just count by ones when we go to the right, so it's 7. Okay? They don't have this part in the number grid. But look, here's 16. So we have this part, and we have 16. And what would be to the right of 16? That's right, it would be 17. Okay, then they don't have this number here, but they have the 28 and the 29, and you need to figure out what comes before that. Well, what number comes before 28? It's 27. You see how we can solve that? You also could think of going down and adding a 10 each time. 7 plus 10 is 17. 17 plus 10 is 27 because we're adding one more 10 each time. This would be 0 tens, 1 10, 2 tens. See how that works? It's pretty nifty. Okay, let's look at number 13. So we chopped out a piece of this 100 grid. What number would go here? We have something 54, 55. So what would that be? Yes, it would be 53. Okay, for this number here, there are a couple ways to think about it. You could think what number comes before 64, or you could count down by tens and ask what 53 plus 10 more would be. So if I have 53 and I have 10 more, it would be what? It would be 63, wouldn't it? Does this make sense here? 63, 64. Now we look down here. We need to figure out what this number is. Well, we have a couple clues. 72 is before it, or we could count down by tens. 53, 63. Do you know what that number is? 73, isn't it? 72, 73, or 53, 63, 73. If you look at our 100 grid, you can kind of see that. If you look around this area, let's see, we started at the 53. See how we can kind of see how it's like they took a piece of that? Okay, number 14. These puzzles get more challenging as we go. So for this one, look at all these missing numbers. We only have 15 and 32. Well, to figure this one out, I'm going to have to think what comes before 15. Because remember, we count by ones going this way. So what comes before 15? That would be 14, wouldn't it? Okay, I think the next piece of my puzzle will be to try to figure out what this one is. Well, remember when we go down the 100 grid, we count by tens, which means we add a 10 each time. So we have 14. What's 14 plus 10? Well, I'm going to add a 10 here. So I have 4 ones. I had 1 10. Now I have 2 10s, don't I? Okay, now that I have this number, 24, I can figure out what this one is. What number comes before 24? That one would be 23, wouldn't it? Okay, to figure out these last two numbers, you can count down the chart, adding a 10, counting by tens, 14, 24. Or now that we have this 32 here, we can go across this way and count by ones. I think I'll count by ones. 32, what's next? 33, and what's after that? 34. Let's see if that works going down. 23, 33. See how we added a 10? 14, 24, 34. See how we added a 10, but the ones stay the same. Okay, the last one of these puzzles. We have 97, 98. What's next? 99. Those are all the clues we have. We're going to have to figure out the rest on our own. Well, this gets a little tricky because we get above 100. And our 100 chart that I have here only goes to 100. Sometimes the charts go to 120, which is actually the goal that we work on in first grade, being able to count by ones, fives, and tens all the way to 120. So I can still figure this out though. I could do 99 plus 10, so I could count on 10, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109. The other way I could think of this is, you know that the ones stay the same and I have to add a 10. So I had 9 tens. Now I have 10 tens, don't I? So if we keep going that way, look, I have 9 ones. I had 9 tens, 10 tens. If I add one more 10, I go 9, 10, 11 tens. Or I could count on 10 and go 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, and do it that way if this way is confusing. So now I'm counting by ones to the right. What comes after 109? Well, let's see. Let's count before a little bit. 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110. Remember how we write it like that? 110. And then we could count down by tens, or we could say what comes after 119. Well, if I go 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, right? Because we have 19, 20. If we look up here, we have 0 ones. We had 11 tens. Now we have 12 tens because we added 10 each time. So down here, use a counting chart, count by tens, match each number on the left to a number that is 10 more. So they want us to look at this time. So I'm going to find 57. Do you see it on there? Let's see. I need to make my chart just a little smaller, I think, so we can see it all. So 57. Well, here's 50, right? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And then here's all the 50s. So 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57. We want to find what's 10 more than that. Do I go to the right, the left, up, down? Where do I go? To count 10 more, I go down the 100 chart. So I have 57, 67, don't I? So I can draw my line 57, 67. Okay, 73. 70, there's my 70, 71, 73. And we want to find 10 more than that. Well, I go down the 100 chart, 73, 83. What about this one? 77, and I want to add 10 more. So I find 77. What's 10 more going to be? 77, 87. And then I know they gave me the answer pretty much for the last one, didn't they? 93 would be 103. Well, this one doesn't go up past 100. So if I have 93 and I want to have another 10, look, 7 tens, 8 tens, 9 tens, 10 tens, which looks like that, which makes 103. Okay, now on your own or with adult help, I'm going to have you go ahead and do page 341, just this page, to practice counting more. If you need help, remember you can look back here. And really, even if your family wants to like tear out that page, I'm fine with that. And then that way you could have it right with you so you don't have to keep flipping back and forth if you need help with that, using that 100 grid. Okay? So thank you very much for joining me. Do this page now.